Okay, welcome back to another episode of the interview series that I have not done in like a year because, I just have not gotten around to it and had no motivation to do it. But today I got somebody who I've been wanting to talk to for a while, pretty much since I moved up to the Bay Area, Matthew Martinez of Natural Human Instinct, Eightfold Path, Summer Blue, as well as a lot of other projects.
Too many.
And we're hopefully going to get into a lot of them today. So what's good, man?
What's up, dude?
Nothing much. Like, you just had your record release over the weekend,
Yeah.
which was fucking awesome.
It went well, dude. I wasn't actually anticipating on calling it a record release, especially because the CDs that we were supposed to have there didn't end up coming in time.
Really?
I wasn't tripping about it, but I think it was more of just a cool celebration of just every young band that was there. You know what I mean? I didn't want to make it about us, So it was fun though. It was dope.
Hey, you guys are a young band too.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you. But they're younger, newer bands.
Yeah, exactly, for sure. You guys had it was the last of 3 of a run with Cross of Disbelief.
Yeah.
They're from the Hudson Valley?
Yeah,
Or
so
New York somewhere?
To be honest, I don't really know exactly where they're from. I was talking to some of the dudes, and I think they're all kind of spread out across the Northeast. But they say Hudson Valley because it's easy, you know what I mean? But I think one of the dudes is from Albany.
Oh, okay.
Or
other New York parts.
Yeah, just other parts in the area. That's pretty close by, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember him saying Mass and New York, I think, when they were going on.
Yeah, I think I heard that too. But I'm geographically challenged, especially when it comes to over there, because all the states are really close to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's
sure.
You can take 2 steps this way and you're in New York, and you take 2 steps this way and then you're in New Jersey. You know what I mean? And then you blink and you're in Connecticut. So it's
Yep, 100%.
It's So
Rhode
it's
Island's
confusing.
Tiny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's super tiny. Rhode Island's where I think Family Guy's based in. So not that I watch Family Guy,
Yeah,
but
I can't get behind Family Guy.
Same. And I shame people that do.
Hell yeah. So how did the run, I guess, come to be with you guys doing it with them specifically? I know you guys are kind of in the same family in terms of labels and shit like that.
Yeah.
So how did the connection happen where you were saying, "Oh, we want to do a run with you guys, and let's do it"?
I don't exactly remember how it came to be. I think Alex from Streets of Hate ended up hitting me up after one of the shows that we played in San Jose.
Was it a while ago?
He was here. This was a while ago, yeah.
Oh, would it be probably? It was probably after Demonstration of Power.
Yes,
played here.
Yeah, he was here for that. That's the only time I've really ever met him.
Okay.
And then I didn't even really formally introduce myself, kind of thing. He was just in the circle and I was there talking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think Justin gave him my number or something like that. So he ended up hitting me up about it. And from what I remember, he said he kind of brought up the idea. And I was like, I'm 100% down to do anything and everything if it involves, cool bands and good
Streets
time.
of Hate.
So yeah, exactly. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. So he pretty much helped. Honestly, I'd say he coordinated the majority of it. You know what I mean? As far as booking the shows and getting in contact with the people. And so yeah, he did a lot of that work. That was mostly him,
Dude, that's sick. Hell yeah. Well, that's I guess current what's going on with you, but I kind of want to get some history on you as well. You're from San Jose, obviously.
Born and raised.
Okay. How was it growing up in San Jose? Just in general.
In general?
Yeah.
I honestly, I loved it. I still love it to this day. I love it just as much as I did when I was a kid.
You liked it when you were a kid? Because I know some people that are from San Jose that are like, fuck San Jose. There's nothing happening in San Jose.
Then they're not from San Jose. You know what I mean?
I know. I think hardcore people. It's funny. It's different. There's oh, we love where we're from type shit. But normal people, I think, are I don't know, they regard it as boring or
Yeah.
something like that.
I
just had
think-
friends in school who were like from San Jose that are like, I fucking hate San
Yeah.
Jose.
Well, to be fair, I think from anyone's point of view, like it's easy to say that San Jose has nothing really going on. You know what I mean? And to an extent, I'd say they're valid. It depending on what you like to do, though. You know what I mean? And I think for me growing up here, I enjoyed spending time with my friends, and I enjoyed going out as much as I can. And I'm not really like someone to go out and like party or drink and stuff like that, because I mean, it just never was my thing. But I could see how someone who is into those kind of things would say that San Jose is boring, because I hear that, you know, from other people that San Jose doesn't have a nightlife, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Those
totally.
are kind of complaints, which is probably valid. You know what I mean? For their
normal
circle.
people.
Yeah.
Well, fuck normal people, huh?
I mean, I don't know. That's their thing, you know. But
Totally.
I never had a problem with it.
Yeah. So you've always loved it.
I've always loved it, dude. I mean, and I've lived. I guess I've lived in somewhat like the same area my whole life. I've been back and forth between houses and stuff. My parents separated when I was young, so I've seen a lot of different houses, and I've lived in different places. You know,
But all San Jose?
all San Jose.
Nice.
Yeah, it just like different little pockets here and there. You know what I mean? And it's like two at the same time. You know what I mean? Because I'll go from one house to the other. You know what I mean? And that's like two different neighborhoods type thing. You know?
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah, but I loved it, dude.
So how was it like getting into music, I guess, when you were younger? Were there like a lot of people in your house that liked music, or did you have parents or cousins or whatever? Because I remember Justin telling me that like you guys had like a older cousin or something that like put him on to like stuff. So I don't know what that was like for you, I guess, growing up as well. So I guess what was it like getting into music when you were younger?
I think I mean, my parents are not like super like invested into music really like at all. Not nearly as much as me and Justin, you know.
Yeah.
And we even have an older brother that's older than me and Justin that's also into music too. We all play guitar and stuff. But I guess it probably, I would say, started from Justin taking things home and me kind of being exposed to it. And I didn't really care for any heavier music at all, like at all, up until like probably middle school. You know what I mean? The heaviest I would go is like the commercial stuff that he would like, you know, play, like Slipknot. I used to love Slipknot, dude. Like,
good band.
You know, really good band. Like that was probably one of my first like bands, I would say, on the heavier side that I was into. So I was bumping Slipknot. Like me and Jarrett were bumping Slipknot like there was no tomorrow, dude. Like probably, you know, when we were like 7 or 8 years old,
Totally.
going into like 9 years old. But I'd say the first exposure to like really getting invested into it was, I think Justin had bought like a Bullet in a Bible, a copy of Bullet in a Bible, you know? And dude, I like, not even
That's
joking.
Green Day, right?
Yeah, it's Green Day. Yeah. Like I watched that religiously, bro. Like that was my blueprint. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
So from there, it just spiraled, and it just kind of that. You know, I was like, I want to do that. You know, that's my life. Know what I mean?
Shout out Green Day.
So yes, still my favorite band, and I used to get a lot of not like shit for it, but like I think I was so invested, and everybody like in my elementary school, and it followed me up to like middle school. Everyone knew that like, this dude loves Green Day to the fullest extent. You know what I mean? Because that's just, I was so invested, you know? So that was probably the first like band that I was super like drawn to. I don't know why, but it was just awesome. And I still love it to this day, honestly.
Good band.
Yeah.
I mean, two things. Before we go any farther, if I mention Justin more, and if no one knows, Justin's his older brother. He plays in bands like Field of Flames, Condition 1, has also been in a bunch of other stuff. I did another interview with him a while back, if you want to check that out. But yeah, that's when we say Justin, that's who we're talking about, for those who don't know. And then secondly, it's funny that you mentioned Green Day being like the first thing that you got into, because when I was younger, my dad had this Hyundai Sonata, and he would play Green Day, American Idiot on CD.
Yep.
And that was, I think, one of the two first bands that had guitar in it that were like, that I was drawn to. And I guess those were my first two. Green Day, American Idiot, and then this band called Maldita Vecindad was another one.
Okay.
Those were the two bands that I first got into guitar music with. So I think that's kind of funny that you also had Green Day as well.
I think a lot of people, especially at that time, like when were you born? Like
2003.
Okay, so I was born in 2000, so it's not too far off. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
2000s.
And I think
babies.
that was the peak of like when they were like on top of it. You know what I mean? And like
after they had their 90s peak, and then they kind of had their 2000s
again.
peak.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so I would say like that's pretty common. I mean, we're not alone in the sense that Green Day was the gateway. You know what I mean? As most kids, I feel like it's just they're such a good band. You know what
great
I mean?
band. Dude.
And in my opinion, like American Idiot, like you being into American Idiot that young, I always thought that was their best album.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I might get like I've had people give me like shit for that too, like saying like, what are you talking about? Like Dookie exists.
It's a musical.
It's like a staple, bro. Like I
up.
think like regardless of like the albums that I enjoy from them, I can't deny that that's objectively that's their best.
It's good.
That's their best work. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't think like enjoy like when I say like their best album, I'm not saying like I enjoy it the most or it should be enjoyed the most. I just think objectively from an artist's point of view, that's their that's the album for them. I think so.
They made a fucking musical out of it.
Yeah, they made a musical out of it. What more could you want? You know what I mean? And then they low-key did it again with the next album, which is like which was awesome. I love that album too.
Yep.
So
what other punk band has had a musical made out of a record of theirs? None, motherfucker. None.
We're next.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome. So you get into Green Day and stuff like that. When did you start playing music, and what was the first instrument I guess that you picked up? Because you play multiple instruments. Mm-hmm. What was kind of first for you in that kind of realm?
I think well, in the realm of like rock music, I picked up guitar probably like 10 or 11 years old. I was taking lessons at like I think 10 years old, 11 years old, and I went for a year. But prior to that, I did like school little band stuff, so I played the violin. Like most kids, I think, that's kind of, I don't know if it's mandatory in some places, you know what I mean? Like
I did it.
You did it, right? So
yeah.
I think for a lot of places it's mandatory, but I played the violin, like hot cross buns type thing,
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then they had another music class that I signed up for, and that was like I played a saxophone for a little bit. Which was fun, honestly. I don't vividly remember like actually learning and playing, but I had fun just having the responsibility of like taking the sax home, bringing it back, you know what I'm saying, cleaning it and stuff like that. For the first week, I didn't even know how to like assemble it,
Yeah,
totally.
I
was like, everyone was making noise in their instruments and I was blowing and nothing was coming out. I just didn't tighten the top, you know what I mean?
That's hilarious.
And I didn't have a reed, So yeah, but that was the first instruments, and then guitar when I was about 10 or 11, and that was the first one that I actually really wanted to get good at, and two, I felt like I was inclined to do so because I was picking it up pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I didn't have a problem learning. It was actually from that time even till now, I still learn by ear.
Oh, nice.
So even when I was in guitar lessons, like I would read learn how to read music and stuff like from the actual books that we would learn, but most of the time I would just tell my teacher to play it, and he'll play it, and I'll go home and try to replicate what he played, and then I'll come back and play it. You know what I mean? So he'd get pressed sometimes too about like, you didn't actually read it, you just copied me, and it's like,
that's sick though.
But did I do it though? You know what
yeah.
I mean? So I used to do that a lot, and I learned how to read, but very, very like on the minuscule level of like proficiency. I did not.
Do you have an easy time picking up like melodies and stuff from a guitar and stuff like that, and hearing something?
Yeah, if you were to show me like something like whether it's like a riff or a melody, I can replicate it. I feel like I can confidently say that I can replicate it depending on what it is. I know like a lot of times I get friends who say like, oh, can you play this? And it's like some pop song with some crazy ass, and it's like, I can't play all of that, you know what I mean? There's too many layers going on there, but they don't know that, you know what I mean? But when it comes to like punk music, which is also like pretty easy stuff, and generally like rock music, even down to like hardcore
0,
stuff.
3,
yeah,
1,
you
2.
After a while, you get used to the notes, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know it's
exactly.
gonna come, and if it's not that, then it's a surprise.
And if your right hand's proficient, then you're fine.
Exactly.
Dope. Was it ever like, did you ever see your brother playing guitar or drums or anything like that? And was that ever an inspiration for you to like pick up an instrument as well?
I think my parents like knew that they were gonna put me in it no matter what. Even if I wanted to or I didn't want to, they were just like, we're gonna do it because
You're predestined.
Yeah, because Justin did it, and then our oldest brother was playing guitar way before me and Justin were. You know what I
really?
mean? So
Okay.
we all play guitar. I think me and Justin both can play the drums and stuff. Our oldest brother can't really play the drums to that level, but
Yeah, you guys are good.
thank you. Yeah, and Justin's a way better drummer than I am, and probably could be, honestly. But yeah, I think it just kind of followed from our oldest brother doing it, and then my mom and my dad were like, all right, we're gonna put Justin in it. And then when it was time, when I got like of a decent age where I was actually able to hold the guitar, I was trying to learn Green Day songs at home on my own and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But it wasn't like I was super invested until I actually started getting the lessons, and I was able to take it home and use the notes that they were giving me and
Be
stuff
proficient
like
at
that. Yeah,
it.
be proficient in it.
Totally. Is what's the age gap between you and your? Because you're the youngest, right?
Yeah, I'm the youngest.
And then what's the age gap between you and Justin? And what's your older brother's name?
Alex.
Alex. And then what's the age gap between you two?
So we're all, I think, 4 years apart. So
nice.
I turned 24 in a couple days, and Justin turns I don't even remember. I think 28.
28.
I think 28. And I think our Alex turns 31 or 32. If I'm wrong, I'm really bad. Something along those lines. But when it comes to birthdays and stuff, I'm really bad. You know what I mean? Like, I just know that we're 4 years apart.
Gotcha.
Generally speaking, like, that's the rule of thumb.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think by the time Alex was playing guitar, I was too young to even like try. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Totally. So I guess then now you're playing guitar, instruments, stuff like that. How does hardcore kind of come into the picture?
It didn't for a long time. For Justin, he was going to shows pretty early. He's been going to shows like as long as I can remember. Like,
I mean, I saw a picture of him on like Instagram with like Fred or something when he looks like he's like fucking 15 or some shit.
So I think
14.
I think someone posted a picture today of both of us at a show in San Jose, and I was probably like 10, maybe 10 or 9, and he was probably like, if I'm 10, he's probably 13, 14, you know what I mean? But he was going to shows already at that point. And that show that I was with in that picture that they posted, I didn't like hardcore, you know what I mean? Like, I like music, and I always generally liked music, regardless if it's like punk or like I loved a lot of like indie kind of stuff too, even pop and like rap, and like, dude, I loved it. I loved everything, bro. But I wasn't really into hardcore at all. And then
when was the switch?
I don't know, because that show that I was talking about right now that I was with him, I was like scared and I wanted to go home, bro.
Oh, really?
I was like, yo, what is this? Yeah. I think my dad was like, oh, if you're going with your cousin, who I think showed him what hardcore was, if you're going with Christian, you gotta take your brother.
No, totally.
And I was like, okay, I'll go.
So you're just along for the ride.
Yeah, I was just along for a ride. I think I was interested. I was just kind of curious because he always went to shows and I didn't know what it was. Yeah. And then when I got there, I was like, damn, this is what it was. Like, this is kind of scary,
Totally.
So I was,
for sure.
So I was like,
especially as a little kid.
Yeah, dude, I was, and like, they weren't moshing like super crazy, but just the environment was like enough to be like, I don't understand it. You know what I mean? So I'm just gonna not do this again.
Be a scared kid.
So I didn't go after that for a long time.
And then, so I would assume you were probably like in high school when you started going like more consistently. Yeah. And then when did you meet like Jared and Saeed and Eric and like those dudes?
So
do you really remember?
I do.
It was funny. Sorry to interrupt, but it was really funny. I was talking to Saeed and Jarrett or something like that, like a while ago, and they were everything when I was asking them like, oh, how'd you get into this? How'd you get into that? When it was hardcore related, they'd always be like, oh yeah, like Matt took us to here, Matt was doing this, Matt was doing that, and it always came back to you.
Yeah.
So I guess, how did you link up with them, and then how did you all start like doing your thing or whatever?
I think I started to get into hardcore later on, like in high school, maybe like freshman, sophomore year. I was kind of dabbling in like, oh, this band's cool. It was a lot of like hardcore adjacent things that I was into at the time. You know what I mean? Like, everyone gets into the title fight. You know what I mean? Yeah. Everyone likes The Story So Far, and they see all those kind of shows, and I think eventually you just kind of go like, I want to see something crazier, you know, like this is crazy. People are stage diving and stuff, but like, I want to see some crazy ass stuff. You know what I'm saying? So then you start digging into like other bands and just like other heavier bands. But as far as meeting them, I don't think it was like hand in hand where like I met them and we started going to shows.
Yeah.
I met Jarrett probably at the age of like 7, I want to say. Maybe
oh, wow.
7 or 6. No, I'd say 7, maybe 7 or 8 or whatever. And because he had just moved from Colorado and he came to my elementary school. And he wasn't in my class, I think first grade, but I met him in second grade and we were in the same class and stuff. And so I've known him since then. So he's like has seen
lifelong
me in
friend.
fucking diapers, you know what I mean? Like type shit, you know? So, and then Eric, I met Eric probably at the age of 10 or 11 or so. And he had just moved from the Philippines.
So still really young.
So yeah, still very young. And I knew he was into music too, because he played guitar and stuff. And we didn't really try to start a band or anything like that at that age because I didn't really know how to play guitar yet either. So we were both kind of learning. Saeed came into the picture pretty later on, like probably sophomore year or so of high school. You know what I mean? That was
like 14 or something like that.
Yeah, like 14, about 14, 15. And that was just through mutual friends. I think he knew Jarrett because Jarrett went to Independence High School.
Okay.
I didn't go to high school with Jarrett. I went to Piedmont Hills. So
I'm unfamiliar.
Yeah. There's like two different. They're like two sides of the same coin. Because like people who go to Piedmont know people who go to Independence, and vice versa. You know what I mean?
Everyone's
so
kind
it's
of
all
melding.
just so connected, and I think that like just the acquiring of friends over time. And then also with like gaining more knowledge about like what I like in music and stuff like that, it just kind of came to a head where we started going to shows and more consistently and stuff. And I guess try to start a band, you know. So
totally. And then what was like the first band that you started? I guess was it Infirmary or
no? It was the first band that I was in was it was an indie band. And
did you guys record anything?
We did record stuff. I don't know if I want to say it. I'll probably tell you off camera, just so you can have it.
I'll put it right here. No,
yeah, you can drop it.
Drop the link right here.
I feel like honestly, like some people know that we were in an indie band. I'm not ashamed of like being in the project. More so, I am ashamed of my performance in singing.
I get you.
Because I was.
Oh, you were the singer?
I was singing, yeah, but I wasn't like yelling, you know, it was indie. So I was actually like dead ass trying to like snap, you know, like sing, you know what I mean? But I did. It was just not it. My voice was not it. Number one. And number two, I don't think the songs were that great, you know what I mean? Because I was writing it, you know.
And you were probably a kid.
I was a kid. I was like 15, 16 years old. So that was my first like try at it.
Gotcha. Know? And then first hardcore band, was that Infirmary?
Yes, that was Infirmary, but that was like a couple years later, maybe like 2 years later after we started the indie band.
Mm-hmm.
But that first band, it was me, Saeed, and Eric.
Oh,
so it was us three.
Same thing.
Yeah, so yeah. I mean, it was the same exact thing, just different music.
Gotcha.
And I mean, yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed writing the music, but I did not enjoy the fact that we were playing shows to like
nobody.
Like straight up, like our first show, it was more of like a family and friends event that took place inside of the Gilman rather than like, there's a show at the Gilman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like there's a show and the Gilman just happens to be the place that it happens at. You know what I mean?
Of course.
So it was empty, bro. Like I have videos and I could show you some of the videos.
I'd love to see it.
It was dead, bro. And like, but you know what? I will say that.
It's all right. I've played to nobody before too.
Exactly. I mean, and I think most people should, honestly. But that I will say a lot of the people who were there, not a lot, but a good chunk of the people that were there, our friends and stuff, are still our friends to this day. You know, so
it was not all for naught.
It was all. Yeah, it was all. It's not like for like wasn't wasted. You know what I mean? Like it was
totally
cool. You know, so that was fun. It was cool. And then we started Infirmary like 2 years later.
Yeah. So how did that band get started? Kind of because that's a good band. If you don't know Infirmary, you should check it out. It's pretty sick. It's all up still. So how did that start? I guess.
Yeah, I think me and Jarrett were just consistently going to shows more and more, and it was more hardcore shows. And I was like, at that point, I was like, yo, like, why are we playing indie music when we like hardcore music? You know, like,
Yeah.
maybe in the beginning we didn't really know that we liked hardcore that much. You know what I mean? But gradually we started going more and more, and it's like, you know what, we could start a band. Like, we could do that. You know, like, not saying that we're like, oh, we're so good. You know what I mean? But like, it didn't seem like a far-fetched idea. I knew how to play an instrument already. I knew how to play drums. I knew how to play guitar. And Saeed knows how to play drums. You know, Jarrett didn't really know how to play guitar too much at that time we started. So he hopped on bass like most kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just like what you do.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then we had another friend.
Like, he was like the homie.
Yeah, exactly. He was like, because like I wasn't going to start it without him. You know what I mean? Like, it was our idea.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I remember when it actually happened, because we went to a show at Sabrosa. I think, like, I don't remember who exactly played, but we were driving home, and I was like, dude, like, we can start a band. Like, let's just do it. Like, let's try it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'm down, but Saeed, I don't know if Saeed's gonna be down. So it's me and Jarrett. We're driving on the 17, and we call up Saeed, and we're like, dude, like, are you down to, you know, play in a hardcore band? Are you down to try it or whatever? And he's like, I'm down if our other friend who did vocals, his name's Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm down if Jordan's down or whatever. And at that time, I think I can't remember if he was with us in the car or if he was at home and we gave him a call. But we told him, yeah, he's down. He's down. Like he's down. Like,
you straight.
So I don't
straight
remember.
lied to him.
I don't remember if he was actually down, to be honest with you. But I'm pretty sure he was.
Well, I mean, obviously.
Obviously he was, right? So Saeed's like, yeah, I'm down. And then from then on, I think like 2017 or something, I was probably like 17 years old, maybe 16 going on 17 years old. Mm-hmm. We just started trying to write stuff and put out a demo and stuff like that. And so I was just trying to grind, and we had to come up with names and stuff. It's all like exciting process of like starting a band, you know what I mean? It's
course,
such an exciting thing, you know? Especially your first band like that. It was fun.
Yeah. And that's crazy. That was your first band. That's sick. I mean, you're one of the few people, I think, that is like, I guess, of the younger age bracket that was going to shows pre-COVID. So what was it like playing shows back in like 2017, 2018? Because that's like when most of the bigger Bay bands now were like starting. I know like Hands of God was like they were kind of going off. Like, I know that like obviously Spinebreaker was around, Lead Dream, which you were in, of course. Yes. I mean, fucking Field of Flames, like Gulch, like all those bands were starting at that time. Yeah. Like what was it like playing shows at that time in the Bay, I guess?
Dude, honestly, I think I was just so like grateful to even like, one, to even be in a band that was like decent enough to play a show, and two, to just be going to shows at a time where I feel like it was not as, the shows weren't as big as they are now, you know what I mean? Which is also a good thing too, pros and cons. But I think there was like it was the same people going to shows consistently, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it was the same group,
you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. And it's like the bands that were coming out of here, I in my opinion, like, were, you know, the best. That's all I cared about. And honestly, to this day, I mean, I love hardcore and stuff, but I really prioritize just this area specifically, because I think we, you know, I love all the bands from here. Yeah. I love that they're all, you know, our friends, and they're having fun, you know what I mean? So at that time, I didn't really know people like super close like that. I just liked going to shows, you know what I mean? And the shows were, from my memory, were popping, you know? Even if it was 20 people, it was the most popping 20 people like ever.
Because it was in like a tiny room.
It was in a tiny room, exactly. And
like Sabrosa, there was Peace and Justice Center.
Yeah, Sabrosa, I mean, like Peace and Justice. Like, there was a hall, like a little warehouse on 10th, which is actually not too far from here, on 10th and Commercial. That was pretty popping too. That was fun. It was like a little quinceañera hall. And then and just everything, those and in between, you know? But it was like I think it was a really cool time, because it was just, I don't know, bro. It kept me interested, you know what I mean? And it was fun, regardless of if we were playing to like, you know, however many people. I didn't care. And even now, honestly, like, I still don't care, you know what I mean? Like, I appreciate that people like are like listen to our band and stuff, you know what I mean? But like, I feel like I have the same attitude now that I did back then when, like, you know what I mean, when there was the same 20 people there. Now it's just like there's more kids.
There's just a few
you know
more
what I mean?
kids. Yeah.
Exactly. But it was fun. It was awesome, dude.
That's sick. Yeah, that's kind of I guess a mythic, almost like a mythical like era to like some people, especially because so many people got into it, me included, like after the pandemic. So I always like hear from like older people like, oh, like this is what the shows were like back then or whatever. But it's cool that like there were a few people that were kind of more my age that were like still going to shows back then.
And even like at the time, I think we were probably one of the youngest people like going, you know what I mean? Like me and Jared consistently, Saeed, you know, we were all pretty young. I was probably 17, maybe even, I think 16, 17 years old when I first started going. I didn't start playing until like 17. And then everyone's pretty much older than me. So they're like 17, 18 or whatever. But at the time, like we were pretty young, you know what I mean? Like I don't recall anybody going to those shows at that time and meeting them that I was like, oh, this kid's our age, you know, let's hang out with him. You know what I mean? Usually if anybody was there that was our age, we knew them because we brought them from like school and like we just wanted to show them what we did. Or they're like some kids who like come from like skate parks and stuff, you know what I mean? Because I know Jordan and his older brother were pretty like invested in like skating and stuff like that too. And we had friends that like would skate. I never really got into it. I tried, I sucked. But it was cool, man. We were just excited to be there, you know. And I was talking to like Brandon and like pretty much everyone in Big Boy when we were on the East Coast in the van. I was like, dude, like it feels weird to get asked questions about like stuff like that because I feel like sometimes people think that we've been going to shows for, you know, not quote unquote a long time, you know what I mean?
But as long as like them.
But I really feel like in the grand scheme of things, I haven't been going to shows that long. Honestly, like, you know, like compared to some people, you know what I mean? Compared to some people who are like, even playing in bands here in this room, you know what I mean? Like Justin's been going to shows forever, you know what I mean? I would imagine that everyone else has been going to shows for like forever, you know what I mean? Like, so it really doesn't feel like we've been going for that long, but I get the interest in like pre-COVID, you know? It's interesting, you know?
For sure. So. Dude, that's sick. That's a good perspective on again the scene back then and like how you guys were the youngest and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's
I mean it was fun, dude.
That's awesome. So one band that I really wanted to talk about was motherfucking Lead Dream because I fucking love the demo and I know you played on the demo, correct?
Yeah, I did.
All right, I wanted to get back. Okay, Lead Dream. How do you meet like Malachi and Dirt, and how did you and Jarrett kind of get asked to be in the band originally?
So obviously, like I think at that point we had already been going to shows for a while. Not for a while, but like, you know, like we were consistently
little longer
going, you know what I mean? And just from consistently going, I think Malachi messaged me and asked me if I wanted to play drums because I don't know how he knew I played drums. He just did. Maybe it was guitar. No, I think it was drums. I think he asked me to play drums, and I was like, yeah, I'm down. And I started jamming with him and Dirt, and Dirt had some of the beginnings of what those songs were. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So me and Dirt me and Dirt spent a lot of time hashing out like parts from that demo. He'd have a part, and then I'd say, what if we did this? And he'd say, what if we did this? So it was actually pretty collaborative. And then Malachi was obviously there to have input too. But Jared didn't come into the band until we decided that we want to play shows.
Yeah.
So we played, I think we played a couple shows with Elliot, if I'm not mistaken. I think he filled in on bass. Excuse me. I think he filled in on bass like maybe 1 or 2 shows. And nice. I was like, yo, why don't we just ask Jarrett, you know what I mean? Because like he obviously plays bass in Infirmary, and I told Jarrett, I'm like, this is good, but like it'd be cool if you were in it too, you know what I mean? So, I told them, and they're like, yeah, you know, like just bring him along, and he ended up learning the songs, and from there, we had a couple shows that were lined up, and it just went well. From what I remember, that's how it went.
That's how they
allegedly. I could be completely wrong. and there could be like documentation on the internet that proves otherwise to everything that I just said right now. But I'm like pretty sure that's how it happened. So.
I'll take your word for it.
I hope.
There you go. Did you guys do any like touring off of that demo at all or anything like that?
Not really, dude. I think the furthest we got, our first show, which is actually a pretty crazy show. Honestly, I was like so hyped when I found out and confused that was our first show. But our first show we played in Long Beach at this place called Toxic Toast. And
I think there's a video of.
There is a video of it. There's a
yeah.
video. I think 197 has a video of it.
Yeah.
But it was like dude, the lineup was crazy. It was Lead Dream. I think that band Jinx played.
Yeah.
I think Hands of God played.
Yeah.
I think Judiciary played.
Okay. Crazy.
And I can't remember the other bands that were there, but that was our first show, and I was like, how are we on this? Number one. And number two, like, I'm not that good. You know what I mean? Like the stage was like raised, and I hadn't played on a stage that was like that raised, you know? So I was like, yo, this is crazy, you know? So I just did my best. But it was pretty fun.
That's awesome.
It was dope. Yeah.
And then why'd you leave Lead Dream?
So at the time, I think that was 2019 or whatever. Mm-hmm. I was going through a lot of personal like problems on the side, and even like band stuff aside, it was just like in my personal life. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I have the time or the motivation to do any of this band stuff right now. So I actually ended up leaving Lead Dream, and I told Malachi and I told Dirt. Obviously, I told Jarrett about it. So I mean, they were all pretty understanding. You know what I mean? And I feel like. You know, usually if your friend tells you, hey, there's something going on in my personal life, I need to step back. Yeah, you're not going to be like, oh, yo, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, so they weren't.
Especially for a fucking hardcore.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
So like they weren't guilt tripping me or anything. So I was like, I'm just going to take a break from all this stuff. So I ended up leaving, but they had some shows lined up. So I think they got Ben at that point in the band. Mm-hmm. And then from that point on, it was he was the one playing in the band. And then same thing with Infirmary. We kind of just put things on a stop. And then by the time I was like, you know what, we can come back. Let's just try it, like, you know, to test the waters to see if we can write some stuff. And then COVID happened.
Oh.
And then I was like, yeah, well, that's not happening. So, you know, maybe after, who knows. And then at that point, in that break between the two bands, I ended up, I don't know how I met Adrian. But I ended up hanging out with him a lot more, and I told him like, oh, I had some ideas about, you know, starting a band that sounds kind of like this and that and this. And to be honest, what I told him sounds nothing like the bands that I told him I wanted to sound like.
What was it? Or name one or two.
I specifically remember I told him I want it to sound like E-Town Concrete, like, you know what I mean?
That sounds nothing like it.
Which is pretty funny. But I think at the time, the riffs were like, honestly, I think like the ideas that I had could have been, you know, slightly on that side of hardcore. Mm-hmm. But once he laid down his vocals, I'm like, this is not E-Town. This is straight up heavier. Evil. Yeah. I was like,
evil shit. Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, we could scratch that whole thing, you know? And he actually didn't even really want to be in the band at first, I don't think. I think he said like, oh, I'm down, but only if you can't find someone to do it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll let you know. And then I was like,
I can't find anybody.
I told him like, I can't find anybody.
You
know what
too?
I mean? I did. I told him I couldn't. I didn't even try though, to be honest. Because I wanted to play in a band with him, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, understandably so. His vocals are crazy.
Exactly. Well, at the time, I didn't know he was good at doing vocals. I mean, he said he could. But I knew him from playing in Hands of God.
Yeah, of course.
You know, when he played in Hands of God. So I was like, yeah, I can't find anybody. And it just worked out that way, you know?
Totally. Dude, that's sick. So that's how Eightfold gets started. You know, that's kind of, I mean, you guys were like kind of the most active in, I mean, you're still a band, obviously.
Yeah.
And I've seen you guys, I've even booked you, which is awesome. But you guys were kind of active like 2021, 2022-ish kind of. And then NHI gets started after that. So how was the initial idea for NHI started, you know, coming out of the pandemic and also off the back of Eightfold and stuff like that?
Yeah. I mean, I was having fun with Eightfold. I think we all were. But I personally wanted to start a band that was just sounds like straight up more straightforward. And I think
Yeah.
after the demo and we did the Eightfold, like we did the EP with that little green art or whatever.
Yeah.
After we did that, I was like, this is like sounding a little more in the direction of like evil than it is like, you know, just hardcore. Which,
for sure.
don't get me wrong, I love that stuff. You know what I mean? And I still like, we have an Eightfold song that we're sitting on, and I love it. I think it's probably one of the best songs that we have, and it's the most evil songs that we have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I love that stuff too, but I was like, I just want to start a band that's more like straightforward
hardcore.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not trying to stray away from like, you know, doing just regular hardcore. And I also had never done vocals in a band before, and that's something that I wanted to try for a really long time.
Yeah.
But I didn't know how to, and I still don't know how to. You know what I mean? I feel like my voice sometimes is a little shaky.
You sound good though.
Thank you. But yeah, the road to get to decent was like long, dude. It was like,
oh really?
I would come in here, well, in our other room at the time, and just scream, like straight up practice how to scream, like.
That's what I do in my car.
Yeah, practice saying words. And eventually I ended up finding like a pitch and you know, an octave that I can comfortably do it in for an extended period of time, not too long. But I was like, yeah, I'm gonna try to start another band that's more straightforward. And I ended up just writing a couple riffs and whatnot and showed them to Eric. And Eric and Saeed are, I think, always gonna be like the backbone for anything that I do. You know what I mean? Because like,
regardless,
if it's anything, like I not only do I think they are like good musicians, but I don't see why I wouldn't want them to be a part. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, unless they were like gone or something.
Yeah,
like
exactly. So it wasn't even a question as far as like who did I want. It's like, well, obviously I have a good drummer and obviously I have a good guitar player. So like, let's just do it. You know what I'm saying? And from the get go, they were down. And then Chris, I asked Chris. I think I met Chris obviously through Out of Pocket. Like,
did you meet him like pre-COVID? Because I remember, because it's funny. I liken you guys and like kind of that crew of dudes as being like the younger people pre-pandemic who were going to shows or whatever. So I didn't know. Did you guys have any overlap back in those days?
The only overlap that I could remember is I filled in for a Big Boy on drums pre-COVID. We played at some preschool in like on the east side of San Jose, and Big Boy played, and their old band Scumdog played too. But the thing is, I didn't like introduce myself. I didn't meet them at that show. You know what I mean? I didn't know who they were, you know, and I didn't meet Chris until way after the pandemic. So
Gotcha.
All that stuff, like Leo and Chris, and you know what I mean, like it all came after the pandemic. Like, and even Oscar. I mean, Oscar was in that band too, and I didn't meet him until after the pandemic. So
for sure. So you met Chris, and were you just like, yo, playing guitar in this band, or how did that happen?
Well, actually, I can tell you the exact moment I thought like I want to play in a band with this guy.
Okay.
It was I don't remember the exact date, but
that's all good.
We went to play a show in Tacoma. I think it was a pretty stacked show. I think Out of Pocket played. Out of Pocket played. I think Extinguished played, and I was filling in for Field of Flames, so I ended up going there to play. And that's when I really kind of first talked to him, and then I saw him play Out of Pocket. I'm like, I can see like, you know, us playing in a band together. Like, he seems chill. Like, why not? You know what I mean?
Had you like spoken to him?
I did. I think I've spoken to him at that point already. You know what I mean? But like, it wasn't like in depth or anything like that. You know what I mean? I didn't know him like super well, but I mean, I hadn't really started a band with a stranger. You know what I mean? In a really long time. I mean, even Adrian I would consider a friend before I even started the band. You know what I mean? So that was the first time that I actually really felt like, I can, take my chance on someone who I don't really know well and see where it goes. And obviously it went really well. But that's it wasn't until after the pandemic and I saw him play more and Out of Pocket and stuff. I was like, yeah, this guy seems chill.
Yeah. Totally. I mean, obviously you guys played hella good shows.
We did, dude. I mean,
I was literally at your first show, and
you filmed it.
Yeah, I did
on the
film
channel.
It's on the Naughty Pelican.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, hella good shows with that dude. And, I mean, he killed that shit.
Yeah, he was, and from the very beginning, like when I asked him like if he wanted to do it, he wasn't even like. He didn't even hit me with like the "I'll get back to you" type thing. You know what I mean? He was like, "Yeah, let's do it." You know what I mean? I'm like, "All right." that was easy, you know. Like,
Yeah.
well, here's an idea that I had, you know. I showed him, and he thought it was cool, and it kind of just went from there.
Totally.
So
How'd you come up with the name? Because the name is long, and I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
when I first saw people posting about the demo on Instagram or whatever, I was like, oh, that's I like the two things that struck me was how long the name was and like how like cool the like chrome looking,
yeah,
logo was.
that chrome is awesome, dude.
Yeah, it's
I love
so
that.
sick.
Yeah,
But how'd you come up with a name for the band? Because it's super long.
yeah. I actually found I was looking through like archive internet. I don't know if you go on Internet Archive like websites and stuff where they archive like whether it's like a scan print of like magazines or like scan print of like DVDs.
You mean like for? I mean, I do that for like academic purposes, but like
no, not necessarily like academic purposes, but like sometimes people hold like really niche stuff like on the internet. So like if you look up like a keyword, like say if you look up like I don't know, like you go Internet Archive and you look up like an old PlayStation game like Gran Turismo. It'll give you an archive of like this is like a one edition that they put out in 2000 like 2 or whatever that never came to light. Here's a picture of like the disc. Here's a picture of what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So sure. I was just deep diving for inspo honestly, and like in that kind of stuff, and I came across this screenshot of a game called The Silver Case. Have you heard of it?
No.
So it's like a
I'm not a big video game guy.
I'm not a super big video game guy either, but I thought it was dope, and it was a screenshot of the video game like cover or whatever, like the artwork that they had made for the PlayStation 2 release or something.
Yeah.
And it had a bunch of like text on it. It looked crazy. Like I'll show you after. It looked crazy.
Yeah.
But it had a bunch of writing and like text, and it said the words natural human instinct on the bottom, and that was the last thing it said. And I was like, yo, that's actually like it's a long name. It's a dope band name, but it's long, And I'm like, well, I mean, I like it. I told Saeed and Eric, I'm like, do you guys like it? I told Chris, and they're like, yeah, it's cool. It's a little long, but it's cool. And I was like, yeah, I think we're gonna use it because I don't have anything better. Number one, and two, like I think it goes with the imagery as far as like what I wanted at the time.
The like robot.
Yeah, it's like it was. I'll show you. It's like a horror like mystery kind of game.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it's really weird, but it's it's interesting. I had never seen anyone play it until I looked into that archive, and I saw some videos. I'm like, this shit looks scary, but it's cool. You know what I mean? So I kind of just ripped it from that.
Nice.
So if anyone has played that game, I mean, I would love to hear about it.
Let them know.
Yeah, because I genuinely like I don't know anyone who owned or played the game. You know what I mean? It just looks like a cool game. So
well, I'm sure you'll find somebody.
I hope so, man. I hope
at some
so.
point.
We'll play 2-player.
Yeah, multiplayer on that shit. So demo comes out, shit's pretty sick, and then I think you sit on that for like a year or something like that. No, maybe it was
yeah.
I don't remember how long it was.
We were sitting on that for a while. We were playing shows with just the demo out for a minute.
Yeah, I remember.
And then
for the promo, were you guys like?
Oh yeah, the promo. That's right. I was thinking of already like going into the next like the EP.
Yeah. So the promo like was that just you guys trying to put out more songs, or were you guys trying to shop it around to some labels, or was it? What was the goal with
the promo? Honestly, was just to put out more music because I was like, yeah, we have 4 songs that we've been playing for the past like at this point, maybe a little under a year, like half a year or something, maybe even more. Honestly, like probably a whole year. And I was like, I wanted to put out music just to keep it fresh, and we already had the ideas pretty much. You know what I mean? And also, what's it called? I wanted to just be able to play music outside of San Jose and have people like be interested, like because like when you see a band coming to your city and they have one demo from like a year ago, you're not gonna care, Or I mean, for me personally, it's like do they have anything that they want to promote? You know what I'm saying? So when
your brother's band,
yeah. Hey, no diss. No, yeah. So I was like, we were supposed to go up to the Northwest, and we had no new music, and I'm like, yo, this is kind of like I'm kind of tired of playing these songs over and over. You know what I mean? So we kind of just rushed into the studio and did it, and we recorded it in SAC with this dude named Fred, who I believe he did the Defective Chain stuff. I want to say, if not, he's in it. I don't know. I don't remember. But he was a super, super nice guy. Super easy to work with. and he wasn't like he was a hands-off kind of dude. You know what I mean?
That's dope.
Whatever tone you picked, that's what you're gonna get.
Totally.
The gear you brought is what it's gonna sound like. You know what I mean? And we had shitty gear, but it sounded
sounded
decent.
Sounds dope. Yeah,
you know?
those songs are awesome.
The only thing I will say about the promo, I don't really like the way I did the vocals. You know, I was kind of bummed out about that.
You think it was rushed? Like the whole thing in general? Since I remember you just saying we didn't have new music.
Yeah, we didn't have any. So we were going on that little run, and I wanted to do it quickly. You know what I mean? And I don't think the songs were rushed necessarily. More so as like the vocals were just shot. Like I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't warm up. I didn't practice or nothing. You know, I pulled up and I got like
your voice.
Yeah, I pulled up. I got some tea from Starbucks, and like one song, a couple lines in, my voice is like practically gone. So I was like, yeah, I should have warmed up, but I fucked up. You know what I mean? I was like, it's whatever. You know, it shit happens. Just keep going. So, yeah.
Was this is NHI the first band that you've like toured off of?
We played
like that you've done like proper 5-day runs.
If that's the case, then I guess so. We did like a small thing with Infirmary way back when, you know, and when we were doing that. But that was only like I think 3 or 4 shows. I mean, it was supposed to be like and it was the most interesting run ever. Like,
why so?
It was just interesting, bro. Like we went with Reese's old band.
Okay.
It's a band called Rip. So before we were in Seltzer, he had a band called Rip.
Rip, okay.
And it's spelled WRIP.
Okay.
And I honestly,
cool.
I was just bumping it the other day. I still like the music. You know what I mean? I think it still holds up. So, but yeah, at the time I was like, yo, this is dope. And I had met him just from going to shows because I think we played a couple shows with that band and our indie band from, you know, before Infirmary. You know? So I was like, oh, we can do something with this band that I'm in now and, you know, your band because it was good.
Yeah.
And it was just an interesting time, bro.
Was there any interesting tidbits from the tour?
Just the shows that we played, I think, were just the epitome of like the state of hardcore pre-pandemic. You know what I mean? It's like
4 people.
We played Bakersfield, and like pretty much everyone left, which is like which I mean, honestly, I think was
Did you headline or something?
Low key, it was interesting. I'll show you the flyer and all that stuff after.
Okay.
But we played and yeah, pretty much everyone left. So we were playing to just Rip, and then a couple other people like in Bakersfield.
Hell yeah.
And then we played I think Orange County. I think program or something like that. Yeah.
Shout out.
Program was cool. I had a fun time doing that.
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact order of the run because I think that might not have been in the run. That might have been just like within like a week of that run or whatever. Mm-hmm. But more or less, I have a flyer. But it was just interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
but regardless, NHI first band that like has done real touring that's been good.
Pretty much.
Like
that stuff has been like going smoothly. Yes. Yeah.
Totally.
I would say. Yeah.
So so the promo comes out. Shit's dope. Demo's also doing dope.
Yeah.
So that was last year.
Yeah, that was
going into So last year, so Chris passes away obviously last year.
September.
What was like was it immediately like, yo, we're going to keep going, or was like him passing, was that like, oh, I don't know if we're going to keep doing the band or not like that? Like, what was kind of the decision to like keep going, I guess?
I think when he passed away, we were all kind of, obviously we were in shock, right?
Yeah, of course.
But I personally, I can't speak on behalf of Eric and Saeed the way they were feeling about the music, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I think they were, at least from what I remember, is they were saying that, you know, if I wanted to keep going, then they're willing to keep going. Down. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like I'll buy that pair of shoes if you buy that pair of shoes, so we'll go buy a pair of shoes. You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
So it was kind of like that, where it's like, oh, I'll keep going. You know, if you guys are down to keep going, and we'll keep. And honestly, at the time, I was so like, just confused and in shock. I was like, I don't even know what we should even do. You know, I've never. This has never happened. You know what I mean? Like before. Course. You know, so it's like, and on top of that, you have people saying like, oh, it's what, you know, it's what he would have wanted, or it's what he, you know, I don't know what he would have wanted, you know, and no one does, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I don't like to use that as like a justification. I just feel like going through that with, Eric and Saeed, and that's the first time that we ever dealt with something like that. And even like with out of pocket, like with Leo and even Jarrett being out of pocket at the time,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a lot of things that came to light. I feel like again, I can't speak on their behalf, but like me personally, that I felt like, I don't know, that weight of him passing away, I didn't want to waste something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like when someone goes, it's not like, I don't take it lightly, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and nobody does, you know what I mean? So I didn't want to like just sit down and quit type of thing, you know what I'm saying? And again, I don't know what he would have wanted, but I think just from me personally, I felt even more committed to like Eric and Sight. You know what I'm saying? Like it was more
right.
It was more of a driving factor instead of looking at, the situation and saying, "Oh man, I give up." It was like, "Oh, I looked at it as like an opportunity to kind of commit even further to these guys, because like that could happen to me, you know what I mean? That could have been me.
100%.
That could have been Eric. That could have been Jarrett, Saeed. Like you don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like I'm not gonna sit here and quit because I'm I don't know, man. It's just like it was such a weird time, and I was so confused for the long time, honestly. But I think when we all kind of talked about it and we decided that it's something that we wanted to do, we just keep going. We wanted to do it, one, for the right reasons, and two, with him in mind, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like we carry him everywhere we go, whether it's on tour, whether it's a show in San Jose. You know what I mean? I try to make it known that he was a presence, and he still is a presence. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Of course.
I rep, like, I mean, even without a pocket, like I feel like with all the situation that happened, I feel just as committed to those guys too. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
like it's just, I try to flip it into a more positive kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It kind of brought you all together even closer.
Exactly.
sure.
Like, I mean, maybe before that happened, like everything aside, I feel like it just gave me more perspective on just our relationships as like friends, and just I guess personal, like introspective, like perspective,
Yeah, definitely.
So
So yeah, I mean, and rest in peace, dude.
yeah, man, that was a sad time,
crazy
dude.
ass time, dude. Yeah, I remember that. So 2024 rolls around, and then obviously you guys hadn't had any new music out for a while at that point. So do you record the new EP with the intention of being on Northern Unrest, or were you like, or did you record it and then it kind of came to pass?
Yeah, we just recorded it and it just kind of happened.
So how did it happen?
Like,
Because I feel like I saw on Instagram it was like you posted like the SJ Northern Unrest, and I was like,
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense, but I don't know how that
yeah,
happened,
I don't know how it happened either, bro. Like, and I don't think, so I think with all of that, and obviously we decided to keep going after Chris passed away and stuff like that. And I think, I don't know, just luck played in our favor. And the dude Ben, shout out Ben if he's watching this, he ended up he hit up the band account, and he didn't even say anything like, oh, let's work, you know what I mean? Like, oh, let's do something. He just said like, yo, yeah, I love you, like what you guys are doing. You guys are doing good work. And I was like, cool. I didn't know who he was. Because at the time, like,
was it his personal account?
It was his personal, yeah.
Oh.
So it wasn't like the
official
label
account
or anything. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. You know what I mean? And then I found out later that he played in Despise, and he played, you know what I'm saying? I'm like,
crazy.
Oh
man.
shit! And I was like, yo. And I was like, wait, this dude just messaged me like a couple, like a month ago or whatever, that he liked our band. And then that kind of put perspective on. I'm like, oh shit. And then I'm like, yo, now I'm valid, low key. You know what I mean? So I was like, this is sick, dude. So
yeah, you've been valid.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah. So after that, I think Demonstration of Power came here to play Sound and Fury just earlier this year.
Yep.
And they had the show in San Jose that was set up at Open.
Yep.
And Dirt actually was the one that texted me saying that, like, hey, can NHI play a couple songs or whatever? And I'm like, at first I was like, I don't really want to do that, because I don't want to like be like, hey, like, surprise, here we are. You know what I mean? Like, we're not on the bill, and no one really asked for us. I mean, I guess he asked, but like other than that, like, I don't know. I didn't want to get this like a perception of like a false sense of importance by inserting, inserting the band. You know what I'm saying?
I get what you mean. 100%.
So I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I mean, maybe. And he's like, yeah. Dirt pretty much said like, oh, the dude from Demonstration of Power really wants to, see you guys play. And I'm like, oh, that changed things now. Obviously I was like, okay, well, I'm not gonna say no to somebody who's coming here
to see me.
Yeah, not necessarily just to see me, but like, he's coming here and he's requesting that he wants to see us play, like a set. And I'm like, okay, well, now I kind of have to. you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, we will, but we're not gonna play a full, a full set. It'll only be like maybe a couple songs or whatever. So we practiced. To be honest, I think we sounded like shit that night. I personally think that we didn't sound that great.
Okay.
We had like maybe one practice and Justin wasn't there.
Okay.
At that practice, so you know what I mean. And
so is it just were you playing guitar?
No, Jarrett played.
Oh, okay.
And then, gotcha. but like I was like, oh, it'll sound better with two guitars.
Two guitars, yeah.
But I mean, with more people, more coordination.
Yeah,
and we didn't have that. You know what I mean? So, so it was like it was low key like a wing it kind of thing. So we wing it. We played 3 songs, and then obviously the dudes from Scotland were watching, and then Alex from Streets of Hate was there too. So that's where I met him. That's where I formally met Ben, not just on the internet, but I actually talked to him.
Which one's Ben?
So Ben, he plays bass in Demonstration of Power.
Oh, okay. He's got like a beard and shit as well.
Slightly. I think if he doesn't shave.
I think I remember seeing him because I saw them at Sound and Fury and I think he had like a beard and like kind of like brown hair and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he plays bass in Demonstration of Power, and I think he plays guitar in Despise.
Okay, gotcha.
And then and he played in other bands too that I thought were awesome. But anyways, so he obviously I talked to him and stuff. We kind of just chop it up or whatever. And he was just super supportive, and he didn't mention anything about the label. I didn't mention anything about the label. I didn't want to be like weird about it, And I think we went to go eat, and he didn't go. So I'm like, all right, I'll eat. I talked to my friends, and then I went home.
Yeah.
And then I messaged him on Instagram, like, yo, like, it was really nice meeting you. If you want to do something, just know, like, we are always, down. I've never been on any kind of like support, for label or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I just said like, yeah, here are the rough, really, really, really rough mixes of the songs that we have. And like, if you are open to it, cool. If not, it's also 100% okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks went by. I think they were probably just talking it over, honestly. I don't know exactly what they were doing. But a couple of weeks went by, and I got a message when I was on vacation. And he literally said, yo, like, we're down, or something like that, or something along those lines, like, yo, like, we're all good, or we're set. You know what I'm saying? And I was
That's
like, oh,
sick.
shoot. You know what I mean? It wasn't even like, hi, welcome aboard. It's like, you know what I mean? Not some onboarding shit. It was just
like yo.
Yeah, like, it was pretty much like informal, saying like, yeah, we're down, let's do it,
Dude, that's so sick.
And I was hyped, bro, because like, I mean, Despise specifically, I love Demonstration of Power, but like, dude, Despise, when I say I love that artwork and that imagery and stuff, I think me and Ben honestly share the same interest when it comes to designing the imagery for like whatever the band is,
and stuff. Yeah, for sure. Kind of like dark and also like
just like hella like PlayStation core. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I love that shit, dude.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get too in the weeds of it. You know what I mean? Because I still like, I like it to be like super, not super dark. You know what I mean? But like, I love it though, and I love everything that band does. It's just, dude, great band. I love that band. So
you guys are on Northern Unrest now. And
yes.
Are you guys so you did the one release with them, and you just put out, it was CDs and t-shirts, yeah?
Yeah, they did a 365 like pre-order with CDs and shirts, and then they did a Northern Unrest pre-order for I think CDs and shirts too on their end though, so over there in the UK.
Dude, awesome.
So
all right, well, I think I think
dope.
I'm kind of getting down to the end of the interview or
Yeah.
whatever, end of my questions. I'll let this guy go. But I guess I just wanted to ask, like, what is there anything else that you want to say, or is there anything that Natural Human Instinct has coming up, or Eightfold Path has coming up? Like, what does the future hold for you as a musician or whatever, or as a for your bands?
I mean, honestly, like I think we
Are you
want
gonna play Scotland?
People ask me. I don't know. I hope so. You know what I mean? Like
They'll play Scotland.
I hope so. I mean, as of right now, I just want to play as much as time permits for all three. Me, Eric, and Saeed, and obviously like we have people come and going. You know what I mean? Like Cena filled in for us last week. Jose filled in for us last week. Jarrett steps in all the time. Justin steps in all the time. There's like a lot of moving parts, you know what I mean? Which is nice because I think that it has option. We have options as far as like people, you know what I mean?
Yep.
But I just want to play as much as we can, I guess, for all bands, honestly, and then write as much as we can too. Like I'm trying to write some stuff for NHI, and then I'm trying to write some stuff for Eightfold, but like I was saying earlier, it's hard, bro, because it's I try to be more technical. Sure. And then Summer Blues too. I'm trying to write some stuff, so it's just constantly finding the motivation and time to do it. You know what I mean? But I think right now, honestly, I have the most fun with NHI, and I don't mean that any diss to like Summer Blue or Eightfold or anything, but
to some other bands.
I don't mean that as a diss to myself. You know what I mean? But like I'm dissing myself. No, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see. But I just want to play more and hopefully get more places because I think that we have a good thing going on between us, and I don't want to waste it. So.
Oh yeah. Is there anything you want to shout out or whatever before this is done?
Shout out to Ben, obviously number 1, Northern Unrest. Cousin Christian for putting me and Justin into this position, and friends, family, everyone who listens. I try to be as open as I can at the shows, on the microphone, like off the stage. I try to be as open as possible and express my gratitude. I don't really think it comes off nearly as much as I want it to because I really feel like indebted to people who even take the time to watch us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, if you made it this far in the video, thanks. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Hell yeah. Shout out San Jose.
And obviously the best city in the world. Yes, San Jose.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. And I guess till next time.
Peace.